In the heart of Texas, a quiet revolution is brewing.
Ceronic Technologies is delivering something the US Navy desperately needs. Speed. We are out here with the US military. And this might look like a normal boat, but it is actually a drone. Meet Port Alpha, America's first shipyard designed not for traditional warships, but for mass-producing autonomous combat vessels. With over $600 million in recent funding and a $4 billion valuation, Ceronic is moving at a pace traditional defense contractors can't match. No delays, no bottlenecks, just a rapid pipeline of crewless, agile warships ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Music. The strategy is simple. China has numbers. America is answering with speed. As Beijing launches ship after ship, Port Alpha isn't waiting. It's building the future of naval warfare. And it's doing it now. But can this breakthrough in speed and automation truly counter China's overwhelming numerical advantage at sea? Let's find out. We are also going to resurrect the American shipbuilding industry, including commercial shipbuilding and military shipbuilding. The new arms race, quantity versus quality. For decades, the United States Navy ruled the waves. Its 11 massive aircraft carrier strike groups were the ultimate symbol of military power, able to project force anywhere on the planet. But today that dominance is being challenged not by one rival supercarrier but by a tsunami of steel. The challenge comes from China, and their strategy is brutally simple. Overwhelmed with numbers. While the US focused on building the world's most advanced and most expensive warships, China focused on building the world's biggest navy. Let's look at the numbers. According to the latest Pentagon reports, China's People's Liberation Army Navy or PL is now the largest naval force on Earth by sheer number of ships. They are not just building fishing boats. They are launching powerful modern warships like the Type 055 destroyer. A ship so advanced many experts call it a cruiser. They are expanding their coast guard into a second navy and arming thousands of fishing boats to act as a maritime militia. It's a three-layer chessboard designed to dominate the South China Sea and beyond. The scale is almost hard to grasp. At its peak, China's shipbuilding output was more than 230 times greater than America's. They can build a navy faster than anyone in history. So, what's the American response? How do you win a race when the other side is building ships faster than you can count them? Well, for a long time, the US tried to play the same game, and it ran into big problems. Building a modern US warship is a miracle of engineering, but it's also incredibly slow and expensive. Think about the US Navy's crown jewels, the Ford-class aircraft carriers. They cost over $13 billion each and took nearly a decade to build. The Zumwalt-class destroyer, a technological marvel, was so expensive that its production was cut from 32 ships to just 3. The system is plagued by delays, cost overruns, and bottlenecks. You simply cannot beat China in a straight-up shipbuilding contest. It's like showing up to a gunfight with a single handcrafted gold-plated sniper rifle only to find your opponent has 1,000 reliable mass-produced rifles. So, America had to change the game. If China owns the strategy of quantity, America must double down on its advantage, quality. But not just better technology, a completely new kind of quality. The US Navy's new answer is called Distributed Maritime Operations or DMO. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Instead of putting all your firepower into a few gigantic precious aircraft carriers, you spread it out. You create a worked fleet of hundreds of ships, aircraft, and most importantly, robot vessels. These cheaper autonomous ships become the scouts, the shields, and the skirmishers. They would swarm the enemy, absorbing punches, jamming their systems, and finding their targets. They attrit the enemy, a military term meaning to wear them down. Then, and only then, do you bring in the big expensive manned ships, the aircraft carriers, and guided missile destroyers to deliver the final decisive blow with their crew safe and their missiles reserved for high V-value targets. It's a fundamental shift from a fleet of kings to a fleet of pawns and knights all working together. But to make this strategy work, you need pawns. You need lots of them. And you need them fast and cheap. This is the fundamental problem that sparked a revolution. Navy will be taking a large step into the future of maritime prowess by testing the newest anti-submarine warfare ship, the Sea Hunter. the hardware from DARPA prototypes to a real robotic armada. This is where it all began. This isn't a concept. This isn't an artist's rendering. This is the Sea Hunter. And a few years ago, this sleek, futuristic-looking vessel did something that shocked naval experts around the world. It sailed from San Diego to Hawaii and back again, completely on its own. No crew, no one at the helm, just its robotic brain, sensors, and algorithms navigating thousands of miles of open ocean, avoiding tankers, weathering storms, and obeying maritime traffic rules. Sea Hunter changed the idea of what a ship can be. Built as part of DARPA's ACT-UV program, Sea Hunter is a long, crewless trimaran that can patrol the open ocean for weeks without people on board. It was built to follow and watch diesel-electric submarines, the quiet kind that can hide for a long time, so other armed ships can be sent into act when a threat appears. DARPA completed the initial demonstrations and handed the program over for further development, showing this was more than a lap toy. The design is striking and practical. Sea Hunter is about 132 feet long, uses a trimaran hull for stability, and has a lightweight composite structure with full load displacement near 145 tons, a top speed around 27 knots, and an endurance measured in tens of days. The ship can cruise for thousands of miles. Its fuel load and hull shape let it cover roughly 10,000 nautical miles on a single fill, enough to travel between distant bases and stay on station for long stretches. What makes Sea Hunter useful is the time on station. A helicopter or plane can visit a patch of ocean for only hours. A manned ship can stay longer but costs a lot in crew, fuel, and maintenance. Sea Hunter can loiter in an area for many days or weeks, quietly watching and recording. That persistence lets it track a submarine until the sub slips up, then calls in strike forces. In tests, it proved it could follow targets and meet navigational rules, a key step toward real operations. Sea Hunter is not a floating gun by itself. Early versions were unarmed and focused on sensing, tracking, and reporting. That is by design. Autonomy and long endurance are the main goals. Still, its sensors, autonomy software, and modular deck mean future versions could carry weapons or specialized gear if policy and law allow. The system runs under a sparse supervisory control model. Computers do the routine work while humans watch and step in when needed. The ship also shows how cheaper platforms can change naval math. Building and running an unmanned vessel costs far less than a destroyer. Estimates from the program point to operating costs that are a small fraction of manned warships, which could free money for other needs. That cost edge combined with long endurance and modular payloads makes Sea Hunter a powerful tool for routine patrols, submarine hunting, intelligence collection, and logistics support without putting sailors directly in harm's way. The Sea Hunter was a DARPA project, and its mission was simple: prove that a medium-sized ship could be truly fully autonomous. It was the groundbreaking proof of concept, the first real whisper of a robotic navy. But the Sea Hunter had a problem. It was built from a traditional crude hull. It still had a small cockpit just in case. It was a brilliant first step, but it was still thinking inside the box. The ATE demonstration that Defiant will undertake is designed for a long period of time in a real-world environment in real sea states, proving that the ship can operate untouched for a very long period of time. Inside the USX-1 Defiant, this is the next step. Meet the USX-1 Defiant. This is the first ship under DARPA's NOMAR program, which stands for No Manning Required Ship. Recently released photos and video from initial in-water tests show the vessel in clear detail. At 180 feet long, that's 55 meters, and weighing about 240 metric tons, Defiant is small by naval standards, but built with one bold idea: no humans on board. Zero Incorporated is the main contractor behind the project. The ship was formally christened on August 11 in Everett, Washington, where it will stay for now. Until these new images, Defiant had been mostly out of public view since its launch earlier this year. What appears in the photos matches earlier models and renderings. A slim central mast bristles with commercial navigation radars and antennas. The deck is largely flat and open, a clear hint at the ship's real purpose. That open deck is not just a design choice, it's the point. Defiant's hull was made to carry containerized and modular payloads that can be loaded and unloaded quickly. In short, the ship is a floating platform that can change jobs fast. One day, it could haul sensors. The next day, it could carry cargo containers or mission modules. That plug-and-play setup is central to the NOMAD's idea. Build a vessel that can shift roles without the delay and cost of a different ship for every job. The bow shows an angled structure that seems to protect an access point to spaces below deck. That same structure likely helps with waves when the sea gets rough. Defiant was designed with that rough weather in mind. It can operate safely in conditions where waves crest at about 13 feet. It's also built to survive much harsher seas, the kind with towering waves, and keep on functioning once the storm passes. Because it is meant to run without people on board, Defiant has no living spaces or passageways for sailors. Removing human needs from the design lets engineers slim down the ship and focus on what really matters for long unmanned missions. Still, the new test images show a simple tent setup at the stern. That tent gives basic shelter to technicians who are on hand during early trials. For now, people are close by. The plan is for the ship to operate on its own once testing proves the concept. Greg Avocola, the NOMAD's program manager, framed the project plainly at the christening. Defiant shows a ship can do hard work on the open ocean without people aboard. He noted that while small, the vessel is meant for long voyages and can keep operating in Sea State 5 without losing capability. The ship's narrow profile is purposeful, only wide enough to fit its largest gear, and there are no human passageways to worry about. DARPA has laid out the program's core promise. Removing the human element from ship design could yield big gains. Expect smaller ships, lower costs, higher at-sea reliability, better hydrodynamic efficiency, and improved ability to withstand rough seas. The agency also sees advantages in survivability against enemy action through stealth features and resistance to tampering. With scaled production, DARPA argues NOMAD could deliver a fleet of distributed cost-effective unmanned surface vessels. After the test period, DARPA plans to hand Defiant over to the U.S. Navy. The Navy will fold the vessel into an experimental fleet that is helping shape what future uncrewed surface forces might look like. Defiant is not a flashy one-off toy. It's a working study in how far ship design can change when people are taken out of the equation. The recent images give a clear look at that vision. A lean hull, an open deck built for quick swaps, a mast full of commercial sensors, and a ship meant to go where the ocean is angry, all without anyone sleeping below. Whether this approach becomes common at sea will hinge on the tests to come, but Defiant has already shown the first chapter in a new way to think about naval missions. We set out on this mission to redefine maritime superiority, right? We're doing that through autonomy. So, we brought 3 different products, real robotic armada. Now, companies like Xeronic Technologies are taking the blueprint proven by Sea Hunter and Defiant and asking, how do we mass produce this? Let's break down their proposed robotic armada. This isn't science fiction. These are real contenders for the Navy's MASC and large USV programs. First, the Scouts, the Spyglass, a 6-foot mini drone. Think of it as a pocket-sized picket ship. You can launch it from a beach, a small boat, or even a larger mothership. Its job is to sneak into shallow waters, harbors, and tight spaces where big ships can't go. It's a swarm of eyes and ears, perfect for causing mischief and gathering intelligence right under an enemy's nose. Then you have the Cutlass. At 14 feet, this is the bigger brother. It's not just a sensor platform. It's a network node. It can see for itself with its own small radar and mast, track targets, and even launch smaller drones or loitering munitions. In recent drills, a vessel like this successfully launched an Alcius drone at sea. That's a floating missile magazine, doing a job that would normally require a much larger crewed ship. Now we move into the workhorses. The Corsair 24 feet of multi-M mission muscle. This is the first platform with real ocean-going endurance. With a range of over 8,000 nautical miles, it can patrol sea lanes for days. Tow sonar arrays to hunt submarines or even act as a decoy. Towing equipment to fool enemy radar into seeing a much larger ship. Then the Mirage at 40 feet. This is where the silhouette starts to look like a traditional ship. You'd use this for serious jobs. Maritime security, escort duty, or as a forward picket line. It can shadow an enemy frigate for weeks, mirroring its every move at over 35 knots, all while feeding data back to the fleet. It's a persistent, unblinking eye on the horizon. But to win, you need more than just eyes. You need strength and logistics. This is the cipher. At 60 feet, this isn't a boat. It's a ghost forklift. Its genius is a deck that can carry a standard 20-foot shipping container. One day, that container could be a mobile hospital. The next, a drone repair shop. The next, a packed magazine of loitering munitions. It can sprint ahead of the fleet at 35 knots, drop off critical supplies on a lonely reef, and be back by morning. It's a logistics revolution. And finally, the kingpin, the Marauder. At 150 feet, the Marauder is a mobile base. It can carry 40 tons of payload. That's enough for two 40-foot containers. This is an unmanned arsenal ship. You could load it with missiles, mine-laying equipment, or a massive electronic warfare suite. Imagine parking this thing silently and with no crew at a vital ocean choke point. It becomes a permanent deadly sentinel. Or you could assign it to a carrier group, acting as a massive floating magazine, allowing the manned destroyers to save their precious missiles for the final fight. Every one of these designs has a clear, logical purpose that aligns perfectly with the Navy's stated goals. To add numbers, reduce risk to sailors, and create a distributed worked fleet. The prototypes from DARPA proved the impossible was possible. The brains making it possible. A robot ship is more than just a hull without a crew. The empty deck, the silent bridge, that's the easy part. The real magic, the true revolution is what's inside. The artificial brain and the nervous system that connects it to the entire fleet. So, how does a huge ship navigate the world's busiest shipping lanes? Avoid a storm or dock perfectly in a crowded port all by itself? The answer is that the core technology isn't just a theory. It's already been proven. Ships like the Sea Hunter, Nomad, and Ranger have already sailed thousands of miles on their own from the Pacific to the Gulf of Mexico. They've successfully avoided commercial tankers, fishing boats, and unpredictable weather. All while strictly following international maritime laws, the rules of the road at sea. Think of it as a self-driving car, but for the ocean. A complex array of radar, cameras, and sensors acts as its eyes. Its brain is a powerful computer running advanced AI software that processes all that information in real time, making constant decisions. Slow down, turn right, hold course. But one smart ship is just a novelty. A fleet of smart ships is a game share, and that's where the real power kicks in. The US Navy calls this concept the kill web. It's a shift from the old kill chain, a single straight line from a sensor to a shooter that an enemy can break. Instead, the kill web is a resilient interconnected mesh network. Here's how it works in simple terms. Imagine one of the small spyglass drones sneaks close to an enemy island. It detects a radar signal, but it's too small to identify what it is. Instantly, that tiny piece of data is securely sent up to a satellite, then down to a Cutlass drone 50 miles away, which uses its better sensors to get a clearer picture. The Cutlass then shares that improved data with a Mirage vessel, which has the powerful computers to analyze it and confirm that's a new anti-ship missile site. Finally, the Mirage shares the exact target coordinates not just with a manned destroyer, but with a Marauder arsenal ship lurking over the horizon. The Marauder loaded with missiles becomes the shooter. The entire process from first detection to missile launch takes seconds, and it doesn't rely on any single ship. If the enemy jams one drone or sinks another, the network simply routes the data through a different path. The web survives. This is the power of projects like the Navy's Project Overmatch, which is focused on building this very kind of unbreakable network. Now, this leads to the most important question of all. Who pulls the trigger? Let's be absolutely clear. Despite what science fiction tells us, the current US doctrine is clear. A human is always in the loop. These robotic ships are designed to find a target, track a target, and even recommend a weapon to use. But the final decision to engage, the decision to use lethal force, will, according to all current policy, rest with a human operator. That person could be on a nearby manned ship in a remote control center thousands of miles away, or even at a headquarters. They will see the same data on their screen, and they will have to give the final go command. This human-in-the-loop rule is a crucial, ethical, and legal firewall. It's what keeps the technology from spinning out of control. The challenge now is technical. Building communication links so secure and reliable that this human command authority can never be hacked, jammed, or lost at the critical moment. The brains of these ships aren't about creating robot terminators. They are about giving human sailors something they've never had before. Perfect information, lightning speed, and a worldwide team of robotic teammates. The hardware is the body, but this network, this AI, this is the brain and the nervous system, and it's already awake. China's counter-move. So, how is the world's largest navy responding to America's push toward a robotic fleet? While the US has platforms like the Sea Hunter, China is advancing its own family of unmanned surface vessels. They have unveiled designs such as the JAI, an armed multi-mission drone destroyer, and have demonstrated extensive swarms of smaller unmanned boats and military exercises. With substantial investment in AI, autonomy, and naval expansion, this is far from a one-sided endeavor. It is in essence a global shift toward automated naval warfare. China's military strategy has long focused on countering US technological and carrier-based advantages. Their investments in anti-access area denial systems, including long-range missiles, integrated sensors, and sea denial platforms are designed to keep major US vessels at a distance. The American shift toward unmanned systems seeks to disrupt that strategy. In turn, China is developing ways to disrupt the robots. Their approach appears to be developing along three key lines of effort. First, electronic warfare. Unmanned systems depend on networks, navigation signals, and constant communication. China is advancing capabilities aimed at jamming GPS and data links, effectively isolating unmanned vessels from the command structure and from each other. This isn't hypothetical. Electronic warfare is a well-established element of Chinese military doctrine. Second, cyber operations. Beyond jamming signals, there is the risk of cyber intrusion aimed at seizing control of unmanned platforms themselves. China possesses advanced cyber capabilities that could be directed at vulnerabilities in software or communications. The strategic goal would be to compromise not just the function but the intent of autonomous systems. And third, counterwarming. China retains a distinct advantage in rapid large-scale shipbuilding. One of the most direct countermeasures to a fleet of unmanned vessels is to deploy even larger numbers of lower-cost autonomous platforms capable of overwhelming opponents tactically. In this scenario, mass becomes a decisive factor, potentially offsetting qualitative advantages. The objective would not necessarily be to win a symmetrical engagement, but to complicate and delay, imposing costs and buying time for other elements of China's fleet to operate more freely. The real-world hurdles. The vision is clear. The technology is proven. The first prototypes are already sailing. So, what's stopping the US Navy from launching 1,000 robot ships tomorrow? The truth is, the hardest part of this revolution isn't engineering. It's everything else. Taking these incredible experiments from the lab and turning them into a reliable integrated fleet means overcoming a tidal wave of real-world problems. The first huge hurdle is integration. Imagine you're the captain of an aircraft carrier.